Lisa Hoffman, the Homebody Realtor, and I want to talk about our current market and what my predictions are for the future. So right now we are in an extreme seller's market in Bergen County and North Hudson. And basically what we're seeing is so many people are coming from the city. They wanted more room. The school systems, the way New York was handling the COVID situation. So during the winter and during the summer, everybody kind of rushed over. Now we're at a point where I see all these different realtors saying, hey, so many more houses being listed this September than last. And it's kind of like, no. Our market has been completely moved, our timeframes have shifted, and obviously we expect to see more houses hitting now because of the delay. What is still a problem is that there's an extreme lack of inventory. If everybody was listing their house and selling, we would have inventory and we wouldn't have the seller's market that we do. So what is causing that and what are we going to see in the future? So every month, basically since the end of March, beginning of April, we've kind of seen the prices increase because of the lack of inventory, and the prices keep going up and up to the point where I have people where I'm like, get your house on the market this week in November, because NAR, the National Association of Realtors, does expect there to be a slowdown in the housing market. Now, what things are going to affect that? First of all, we have the election. The election is tied to a couple of different things. One is the economy. So economists are predicting that if Joe Biden wins the election, that there is going to be a slow in the economy, which will eventually trickle down to the housing market. What I find more concerning, especially in our area, where we're kind of, I don't want to see we're immune to that, but we do have a little bit of a buffer because of our proximity to the city and so many people fleeing it, is the fact that we both know that neither candidate is going to step down without a fight. So the longer that this drags out, the longer that we don't know who the winner is, that's what's going to create instability and is going to be more detrimental to us as a country, to our economy, and eventually to the housing market than if one person wins over the other, at least in the short term. The other things that are going to affect us is we do see the COVID rate rising. We do know that as that goes up, especially if other stuff starts getting shut down, so if they start restricting how many people go into restaurants, if they start closing down gyms or other things, that is going to impact people's finances. That's going to impact the economy as a whole, because it's not just our industry, because we all buy from each other. That's going to impact the economy, which will cause a slowdown. Other things we do also need to keep an eye on are last night there were two attacks, one in Vienna, one in France. Luckily they were smaller terrorist attacks, but if we do have any terrorist attacks of a larger size, that negatively impacts our economy and will slow down the housing market. I think our biggest issue is going to be the holidays. The holidays and the fact that COVID is going up. So what I mean by that is I have a lot of people who have said, especially if they're elderly, I want to sell my house, but I don't feel comfortable having people come in with COVID because I don't want to get sick. So even though they know right now is when they can get the most money for their house, they're not listing it, and that is causing the seller's market. Once a vaccine comes out, which is going to be later in 2021, then more houses will be on the market, thus it will lower the demands and it'll change the housing market. Some of the other things, we kind of have to look at is what's going on in the rest of the country, because in other places where the rates are higher, it's kind of a sink or swim, situation where people are either unfortunately getting sick and living through it, getting sick or dying from it, but it's spreading through, it's burning faster. So a lot of these people, where would they move to? If you're elderly, a lot of people, they move to Florida, they move to the Carolinas. So how those states are handling it and what's going on there, can they eventually move there without it being affected? That's all going to impact our market, because once people can feel more comfortable selling, it will change the dynamic. Also, if the mortgage rates change. So right now, September was our lowest mortgage rate. We had our lowest mortgage rates in September. They have gone up slightly again. The predictions are that they're going to continue to go up. Some people say no, they're going to go down because we're going to go into an economic depression. As of right now, they are trending to go up. So basically it just means that the people who could put more money in the past now have less money put on the same houses. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. My prediction is that we're going to see a slight dip in the next coming months, especially during the holidays, the end of November, December, I think we're going to see a big uptick in COVID, around January. And then I think what would be our normal buying market, maybe even a little delayed, which would be end of February, maybe middle to end of March, we're going to see it pick up again because of the fact that we have such a lack of inventory and so many people coming over from the city.